All right, Red Sox fans, Red Sox Beat, CLNS Media, of course, the leading online provider of audio and video coverage for all of your New England sports. On Twitter at CLNS Media, Facebook, same thing. Of course, we're on Twitter at Red Sox_Beat, Facebook, Red Sox Beat Podcast. On iTunes, go subscribe to us as always. As you know, we love the more subscriptions, the better. Bring us to the top of the baseball world here, at least in New England. That'd be fantastic. Lauren, Jess, the whole gang's back together. What's going on, guys?
A great week of baseball. I'm so excited to talk about it. So,
Lauren, you were right too. You predicted the week.
I was right for the first time, I think, in Red Sox Beat history since I've been on the show. I predicted a week correctly, so I'm definitely going to toot my own horn on this one for most of the show.
I mean, I wasn't wrong because I didn't predict, so that's got to be worth something, right?
Jess gets an asterisk.
Don't take away my thunder.
He'll try to. He's going to try to. He hates being wrong.
I wish I didn't miss the 6-0 week, but this was a pretty good week too, so we'll take it.
Yeah, and we'll get to the recap later. We'll get to all the Red Sox stuff later, but got a special guest on this week's show. Some of you might have seen the tweets. Trenni Kusnierek, who's been on before with us of Comcast Sportsnet, WEI, all over Boston, joins us now. What's going on, Trenni?
Not much, guys. Just, I was going to say relishing in another Sox win, but that's not the case after today's game.
Did not happen.
Did not happen.
But can't blame them. They've been winning a lot lately. But, it does happen every once in a while. And Cleveland's not a bad team.
With the fist on the mound, it might happen.
Yeah, seriously. The one wild card at this point. Thank you for that great segue, though, Trenni, because I did want to ask you about the rotation. And, they've been pretty solid. And honestly, Doug Fister had a couple good starts before this one. David Price hasn't been in the picture, is on the disabled list. Does this team actually need David Price to make a push in the playoffs? Because right now it seems like they're doing pretty well without him.
Yeah, I still think they do because I still feel like the back end of the rotation. I mean, let's be honest. We have no idea what we're going to get. Doug Fister just take out of the equation, right? I mean, he's not even going to be part of your postseason rotation. He'll be put back in the bullpen. Eduardo Rodríguez has looked really good lately, but I'm trying to think of what year of postseason experience, and that's it. I think he pitched one game last year in the postseason. Rick Porcello, a loss last year in the postseason. Chris Sale has never pitched in the postseason. So I don't know how comfortable. I mean, obviously Chris Sale, you just sort of pencil him in for a win, but you never know. But if he's going up against, let's say they play the Indians and it's Corey Kluber, and this offense can't muster any runs against Corey Kluber, you just may get some tough luck if you can't produce any runs, and Kluber and Sale may go, nose to nose, and it just might be, let's say that, Cleveland's bullpen comes out. There's always ways, I think, that, he may pitch brilliantly, but he might not get the win, right? So
do you have faith in David Price, though? Do you have faith in David Price?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but do you have faith in Drew Pomeranz? I guess right now, if you were going to line up three guys, you would go right now, as is, with David Price. You would go Sale, Price, Pomeranz, right? So if you take Price out of the equation, even though I know he's 0-9 or whatever as a starter in the postseason, he still is, talent-wise, your second best pitcher. So you take him out of the equation, and then you go Sale, Pomeranz, and then maybe Porcello because of his experience, but maybe you see if Rodriguez is still pitching well, so maybe Rodriguez. But again, those are such wild cards to me. I mean, they're all wild cards, but I think at least with David Price, you've got somebody who has dominant stuff, and Murphy's losses sooner or later, his luck breaks in the postseason. So yeah, I think they look a lot better with David Price in that postseason rotation.
And don't you think too, the next month and a half of Porcello will probably kind of make a determination on if he's good for the postseason? Because if he pitches like last year for the next month, then you could pencil him in too,
Yep.
Yeah, you could. Again, I guess I trust him. He doesn't have overpowering stuff though, so he's a guy that might get you. The only problem in my estimation, with a guy like Rick Porcello is even if he pitches well for you, he's probably going to get you definitely 6 innings, most likely 6 innings, hopefully 7. So then you'll have 8 and 9. But I mean, again, the bullpen to me, as good as it's been, outside of Craig Kimbrell, who do you 100% when they step on the mound? Do you go, yep, lights out, I'm not worried at all when this guy steps to the mound? Silence. Totally complete silence.
Craig Kimbrell?
Yeah, exactly. Craig Kimbrell and Craig Kimbrell?
Kimbrell.
Hopefully Addison Reed.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, right. If John Farrell doesn't give up on him again or try to pull him after one pitch against Jacoby Ellsbury, the reality is the starting pitching is the steadiest part of this team. But there are still question marks about it in the postseason. They have 0 wins as starters. And I keep going back to, maybe this is it for Drew Pomeranz. He seems like a really nice guy. So maybe he's finally hit his stride. Maybe he's sort of found, maybe he's finally healthy. Maybe he's been able to put everything together that he started to do in San Diego the first half of last year. And put it together for a full season here. And maybe I shouldn't be as worried as I am about innings and fatigue and inexperience. And maybe Rick Porcello does find it again and puts together a great end of August and September. Maybe Eduardo Rodríguez does finally turn into that guy that everybody thought he might be when they brought him over from Baltimore in the Andrew Miller trade. But that's a whole lot of maybes. So to me, at the very least, with David Price, I feel like even when he is lost, he's still pitched at times very, very well.
Yeah, he absolutely has. And kind of switching gears here, somebody who we know will not be making an appearance in the playoffs is Pablo Sandoval. And, he came out, as you know, he wrote the letter to the fans saying, he never really felt at home in Boston and all of that. And you said you had sympathy for him, so I just kind of want you to elaborate on that, because obviously a lot of fans here in Boston were happy to see him go. They were just ecstatic to get him out of here, and a lot of us, don't have any sympathy for him.
Yeah, I guess I look at it from a little bit different of a perspective, and this is probably because I've moved around a lot in my career, so I understand maybe better. Like Gary and I were talking about this on the show today. Listen, I don't feel sympathy for him in the terms of him coming here and eating himself literally a belt buster. I don't feel like that's an excuse for why he didn't play well. But I don't know. I guess for me, if a guy can admit and say, listen, it just wasn't a place for me that I ever felt really comfortable, and I was really struggling from the time that I got there, I give people credit for that, because he could have easily just said, Boston was too hard and the fans were harsh. It was a hard place to play, but he just kind of took it on himself. He didn't blame it on anyone else. And I do know, not every place that I've worked has been an easy place to work. There have been jobs that I've had, that one in particular, that I just was really miserable the entire time. And I should have been thrilled to be there. I should have been so happy. It should have been all these, shoulds, as therapists would say, you're shoulding all over yourself. It should have been this amazing time, and I was making great money and living in a great city, but it just wasn't a good fit for me. Now, I think I still did better at that position than Pablo Sandoval did as the third baseman for the Red Sox, and I certainly wasn't paid anywhere near $95 million, but I also feel like we get caught up on these numbers. And again, listen, I'm a little different because I don't live and die with the Red Sox. I don't really, there's not many teams I live and die with anymore. And being in this industry for as long as I have has sort of changed my perspective on things. But listen, industry standard, that's what he was paid. Nobody forced the Red Sox to pay the guy, to offer the guy 5 years, $95 million, and to waive the weight clause. San Francisco gave him the exact same contract, but had the weight clause in there. It's like there's always this blame put on the player. Well, how about the people who scouted him? How about the people who decided, this guy who, let's be honest, has been overweight his entire career, he'll come here and he'll be different. So let's not put this weight clause in here. That's the way that we get him here. Well, that's on you also. So I guess that's why I felt sympathy for him, because I can understand what it's like to be somewhere and not really love where you are and love the city that you're living in. And trust me, Boston is not the city I'm referencing. I've been here for 5 years. I plan on staying a lot longer. I love it here. But I get where he was coming from. And I think that's where that sympathy or the empathy or, you know, whatever word you want to use comes from.
Catering to the right audience, that's for sure, by saying that. One quick question. Do you think that he flourishes going back to San Francisco? Do you think he keeps the weight off? Or what do you think happens now that he's back where he started?
I don't know if he flourishes. I bet, though, he sort of reverts to the mean, right? Like, he's not going to maybe be as good as he was 3 years ago or 2 years ago or whatever it was in the World Series. I guess 3 years ago now. In the World Series, but I also don't think he's going to be as bad as he was in Boston because he is somewhere where he's more comfortable. And also maybe just that sometimes too, a quick change of scenery can change somebody. Look at Eduardo Núñez. Like, does anybody, as psyched as I am for Eduardo Núñez and as great as I think it is, I love watching him play. He has this infectious smile, and I think he's brought this great personality to the Red Sox, and he's really invigorated the team. Does anybody really think that he's going to be hitting like 380 for the rest of his career just because he left San Francisco and came to Boston? Well, of course not. It's everything's going to average out in time, and I think it'll average out for Pablo as well.
Yeah, I mean, Boston's not for everyone, and it's definitely not for him.
It's a hard place to. It's a hard place to play. I mean, look at David Price, and I guess too that's part of maybe why I was so sympathetic to Pablo Sandoval is because Pablo, when he was here. I guess at the very least, like, what can you point to other than him just being overweight and stinking at his job? What can you point to, though, what can you point to on the same level as the discontent that a Carl Crawford showed or a David Price at times has shown? Or even I would go back to a time like a John Lackey or a Josh Beckett when they were so like miserable being here, and they lashed out at media and they lashed out at, at fans at times, and this isn't your business, and what I'm doing is none of your business, and I can do whatever I want on my off days, and there were all these things. You never had that from Pablo. And so I guess especially because of everything that's happened with David Price this year, I'm like, well, it's not like he cussed out a legend on a plane because he wasn't doing well, right. And maybe that's a really low bar to have for professional athletes, but it is what it is. It's
a good bar for this team, at least for this year.
Seriously.
Right?
So moving on to someone who actually is flourishing in Boston, kind of appropriate for the time right now, especially after 2 more homers tonight. Rafael Devers is just ripping this league up right now in a couple weeks. Obviously, I'm sure, like you said with Núñez, you're not going to expect 2 home runs every game for the rest of his career, hitting 400. But, I mean, the guy's 20 years old, and he's made a huge impact in a short time. I guess just what are your thoughts on him over this time?
I mean, I think what impresses me the most about Rafael Devers, I mean, listen, all the scouts talked about how good of a hitter he is. And Lou Merloni made this point today, and, he talked about the in-at-bat adjustments he can make. And he talked specifically about the home run off of Aroldis Chapman, that the pitch before he hit the home run, I think Chapman threw a pitch by him that was like 101 or 102. It was high heat, though. And he didn't, I think it was a strike. I think he either swung and missed or took it looking. But whatever it was, he adjusted and was able to hit the next pitch out of the park and go opposite field on it. So the fact that he makes great in-bat adjustments, I then asked Lou, I said, well, does that bode well for whatever kind of adjustments he's going to have to make down the line? Because at some point, pitchers are going to start to figure out, okay, this is how we pitch this kid. And Lou said, listen, at some point, they're going to start pitching this kid inside. If you're smart, you pitch him inside because you kind of jam him. So, it'll be interesting to see the adjustments he can make, but it seems like he's such a savant in terms of hitting and knowing, like, okay, oh, wow, you threw me that? This is what you might throw me next, and this is how I can approach it. He should be able to make the necessary adjustments to always be a pretty, a good major league hitter. So that's impressive. But what's more impressive to me is the kid has not faded in big moments. Like, that was a huge moment on Sunday night. Imagine as you're 20 years old. Like, I don't even remember what it was like to be 20. I certainly wasn't doing anything of any importance. And you're at a packed house, Yankee Stadium. The game is tied. It's the 9th inning. If you lose the game, you are what? They would have been 3.5 only up on the Yankees instead of 5.5. Like, I'm sure all those things aren't going through your head while you're standing in the batter's box against a guy who throws 100 miles an hour, but you're aware of it. And for him to have that moment not swallow him up, that to me is the thing I really took away from him is that this is a kid who can perform when on the biggest stage. And not only was it a big game, but you're talking Sunday night baseball, prime time, top of the ninth, on the road, rowdy crowd, and he was like, boom.
Plus Chapman never gives up home runs.
Yeah,
No.
Chapman, that was only the second time in Chapman's career he had allowed a home run to a left-handed hitter.
It's insane.
I mean, that is just, again, law of averages is probably going to happen again sooner or later, but should it happen to a 20-year-old who's got, 30 games, not even in the big leagues? Probably not. So, to me, that speaks volumes.
And he put the ball right back where it came from. It wasn't like he pulled it. Like, he put it right back, right up the middle of the field, if not a little bit opposite field. And that was a shot. There was no question about that.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly. He didn't pull it like that. I mean, amazing.
So what we want to talk about too is obviously the bullpen had questions moving forward with the situation they had. Joe Kelly got hurt, certain things happened, but they brought in a guy in Addison Reed, the Red Sox did, to be that surefire eighth inning guy. And then the other night, our favorite manager in the world, John Farrell, decides to yank him very quickly. And my question to you is about that situation. Does that affect Addison Reed moving forward? Because he was brought here to be that guy. And clearly John Farrell had a short leash with him when other nights he leaves Matt Barnes in to basically ruin the entire game in other situations.
the same night.
How do you really feel?
If you can tell, Trenni, I don't like John Farrell at all. Just do you think in that one possession, that one situation, did that ruin John Farrell's kind of confidence in Reed?
I mean, I don't know if it ruined Addison Reed. Obviously, John Farrell, for whatever reason, doesn't. I mean, this has been the comparison that we've been bringing up since this happened. Actually, really since Friday, is Brad Ziegler. Like, here's a guy who last year, same situation, traded for to come in, be your eighth inning guy. He goes out and he has one rough outing. I think it was against Oakland, maybe. And he's like never to be heard from again. Like, he was immediately in the doghouse. And this clearly has happened with Addison Reed. He goes out Friday night, gives up 4 earned runs in the 8th inning, and they lose the game. But I went through his game log today. That was the most earned runs he's given up all season in an outing. The most by 2 earned runs. Prior to that, his highest earned run total in a single game was 2 runs. So this clearly, to me, that says, oh, this isn't a trend. This is an aberration. Like, oh, bad night, probably going to happen. And what killed me the most about last night is Matt bleeping Barnes, the inning before, loads the bases, gives up the, what could have been the game-winning sac fly, but it was the sac fly that gave the Yankees the lead. It was the 2-1 lead, right? I think, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yep.
I was also watching Game of Thrones. So things,
most people won't blame you.
Mushed together. And he keeps him in there. He keeps him in there, loads the bases, he keeps him in, and allows him to face Todd Frazier with the bases loaded. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to why he favors certain guys or likes certain guys. Like, how could Addison Reed, in the short time that he's been here, has lost? How could Farrell have already lost faith in this guy? And if I'm Dave Dombrowski, I'm like, hey, dude, I didn't give up prospects for this guy and bring him in to be your 8th inning so that you can go in and not follow the rules and try to pull him after one pitch to Jacoby Ellsbury because it's a ball. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. Again, like we saw it last year. For a long time, early this year was Fernando Abad. Now, Fernando Abad obviously isn't the same caliber of a pitcher as a Ziegler or as a Reed. But, it just was like, or even Joe Kelly. Think about that, guys. Like, early in the year, he just never wanted to go to Joe Kelly. It was like, what is your, I'm going to use a total 90s phrase here, but, what is your damage? Why do you hate this guy so much? It just makes no sense to me. There's no rhyme or reason. Did you, tell a dirty joke he didn't like? Why all of a sudden, it's just, you can tell I'm with you guys. I'm not the biggest John Farrell fan.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are.
I absolutely
Lauren,
love
you love John Farrell?
Why? I do. And these guys
always has, mind you.
I have. But
why?
Thank you.
But Sunday I was like, I'm sitting there. I was like, what is going on? I was sitting there with my grandmother. My grandmother's the biggest John Farrell fan too, and she looks at me. She's like, I love this man, but what in the hell is he doing? And I was like, I don't know, Graham. I couldn't tell you.
One day, Lauren, we're going to deep dive into why you really like John Farrell, because
therapy with Trenni Kusnierek.
Yeah, I just don't like even when, and maybe it's because at that point I was really I was in the clubhouse a lot, but you never got the idea. I've never gotten the idea that the reason this team has won or the reason this team has come together is because they're like, we're rallying behind John Farrell and we really trust what he's saying to us. Like, I just heard too many off the cuff, off record types of mumblings of things where I just don't feel like his players really respect him.
And he's so boring.
You saw it earlier in the year too. David Price go off the cuff. All these things happen, and it's not a coincidence. Their leader's gone, and if we've been saying it all year, David Ortiz is no longer in that clubhouse, and look what happens.
Yeah, Manager John. I mean, you don't. If you have respect for someone, you don't call them Manager John. You just don't.
Nope. So talking Trenni Kusnierek, Comcast Sportsnet leads me to ask you, Trenni. I mean, I clearly know the answer, but do you have faith in all of John Farrell to get this team through a playoff series, make a real push?
I mean, listen, this is a really talented team, so I think they can do it in spite of him. But do I trust that, first round series, matching wits with Terry Francona, tight game, 8th inning, that he pushes the right buttons? No. Or that he doesn't give the guy a signal, give Eduardo Núñez a signal to, run on. I'm trying to remember the Indians outfield, and I can't right now. The first name that's coming to my head is Lonnie Chisenhall, and I think he's actually on the DL right now. But, are you gonna, test the arm? I just don't trust that. I just don't trust that he's gonna make the right call. I think he manages panicked a lot. Like, he's always, and I think part of that is that I think he gets that. I think he knows deep down he doesn't really have the full support of Dave Dombrowski. I don't think Dombrowski, to me, Dombrowski's never given him a full vote of approval. And that's kind of crappy on the part of Dombrowski too. If you're going to keep this guy around, you need to really make him feel publicly, especially, that he's your guy and there's no need to worry. And I think sometimes he manages like he's managing for his job, which I don't know that he's good in those kind of situations. If anything, I think the reason he was good in 2013 is because there was no question. Like, listen, after Bobby Valentine, how bad can things? I can only be better. But after that, and when the expectations shot up, Farrell starts not looking so great.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I like him sometimes too, but I was questioning a lot from that game too, and I think he gets unfair criticism just because it's obviously a difficult job managing the Red Sox. That's a hard job, but some of the decisions don't make sense. So that's for sure. So before we get you out of here,
it's so wrong to ask for competence. I mean, I just don't think that's. I mean, if you're honestly, if you're going to ask Pablo, if you're going to get ticked off that Pablo Sandoval is fat and not doing his job, I think you can hold the manager to the same standards.
Yeah.
Amen.
Not to say that John Farrell is as bad as Pablo Sandoval, but you know what I mean.
comes with the territory for sure. So before we get you out of here, so you can go to bed and get your run in tomorrow.
I'm gonna lay. I'm tired right now.
Well, we'll let you leave in a minute here, but before we do, we just want to get your expectations for the team the rest of the season, because you got a month and a half left. They're in pretty darn good position, at least record-wise, despite John Farrell, as we've said here. So, I mean, what do you expect to happen the rest of the season? Where do they finish in the division? Do they run away with it? Does anything happen in the playoffs?
I think they definitely win the AL East. I just don't think. I mean, the Yankees are key, even though they made the biggest moves at the deadline. I mean, with Tanaka and CC Sabathia on the disabled list, Aaron Judge has cooled off considerably. I kind of think that they're playing from behind right now, and they're not quite there yet. So I don't necessarily know if the Sox will run away with it, 10, 12 games run away with it. But I think they'll win it fairly. I don't think it'll come down to the last weekend or anything. I think what could come down to the last weekend, though, is that series against Houston could be huge, because that might be for home field advantage throughout and the best record in the American League. And I think the Sox are talented enough to do it, and certainly capable enough to do it, even with John Farrell at the helm. Where I start to, I guess, worry a little bit about what they're capable of doing is in the postseason. And I wonder if in the postseason, if they have enough. I wonder mostly about their bullpen. Do they have a good enough bullpen to get them through a postseason? Like through like 2 series and get them into the World Series. I'm going to say right now, I'm going to say they lose in the divisional round to Cleveland again.
That wouldn't surprise me. You mentioned the bullpen. Before I let you go, I wanted to ask you because we're hearing that.
But that's
Carson
just more
Smith's
wishful thinking, by the way, because I feel like if it's the divisional round, then they have to fire John Farrell. And if they win and even make it to the ALCS, how the hell do you fire a manager who had the best, say, let's say for argument's sake, had the best record in the AL East 2 years running, or would have had the second best record, first and second best record, 2 years running, won their division, and went to the ALCS. That's a hard fire to make.
Yeah, it really is. You can't do it. I wanted to ask you about Carson Smith before we let you go because you mentioned the bullpen and its importance. He's supposedly coming back early September. So
believe it when I see it.
I know, but if he does, let's play this game. Let's play their game. If he comes back, how much of importance is he? Can he be a factor coming into the playoffs situation?
I mean, that's honestly a hard question to answer because we haven't seen him pitch in a year and a half?
Yep, year and change.
So, I mean, if he comes back and he's the guy they thought he was, sure, that could be a huge boost, right? That guy, if for some reason Barnes is still struggling and Reed's, head is all screwed up because Farrell didn't show any trust in him, then maybe Carson Smith comes back and he becomes an Andrew Miller type guy that you can use him in any situation, and he's healthy and his arm is fresh and he hasn't thrown it all. But I mean, God, that is such a crapshoot because it's been so long since he's pitched in a major league game, and he's so injury prone, and he's had so many setbacks that you wonder where his head is going to be at when he finally returns to the mound.
I have one quick playoff question for you just to end it here. Say it's Red Sox versus Astros in the ALCS. Just say that happens. Forget your prediction.
Okay.
You have Chris Sale, best pitcher in the league. And say you pitch him 3 times. Say it goes to 7 games. You pitch him in 1, 4, and 7. Don't you think the Sox win that series? Is Chris Sale enough to beat the Astros? I think he is personally.
Yeah, I'm never like the biggest. I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's the Astros and I watched them flounder in the National League for so long. Jose Altuve obviously is probably the closest guy I would say to Chris Sale for being worthy of the MVP in the American League this year. I don't know. To me, teams that score a ton of runs, but I don't know what their team ERA is. The Astros, I don't know enough. I'm going to be honest, I don't know quite enough about the Astros. But I don't, if memory serves me correctly, starting pitching. Oh, I only have 10% battery left. Starting pitching, that's like a really sad alert, by the way, on my phone. It was like, doo-doo-doo. From what I remember, starting pitching was something that they were looking at the deadline and something that they were concerned with. And that, to me, is what wins. That's what wins postseason is your pitching. And again, I'm totally talking out of turn because I don't have any numbers in front of me. And I don't know exactly what their ERA is or where they rank in terms of starters and bullpen. But if I'm remembering everything correctly, I feel like they're known more as a really offensive team, not a pitching heavy team. Correct me if I'm wrong, please.
No, I think you're right.
All the time.
Pretty sure you're right.
I'm quickly trying to check at the moment. So if we can get past the Indians, then going to the World Series.
We're going to the World Series. Going to Trenni. Yeah, if we get past Cleveland and Tito, we're going to the World Series. Great. All right. On that note, Trenni will let you go because your phone is apparently dying. So, Trenni, we appreciate you joining us. Go get some rest. Enjoy a run in the morning, apparently, and appreciate the time.
5-mile tempo run, everybody, and a Pilates class.
Wow. Never stops. Trenni, we appreciate it.
All right, thanks
so much.
Thanks, Trenni.
Take care.
Never a dull moment when Trenni joins us. So while Jess looks that up to try to prove her right, Trenni was brought to you by our good friends at SeatGeek ticketing app, the smartest and easiest way to buy and sell sports and concert tickets. Get a $20 rebate. You know the drill on that first purchase by downloading the free SeatGeek app to your phone. Just go to the settings tab. Add a promo code, Garden Report, all one word, you'll get that $20 rebate, courtesy of our good friends at SeatGeek. Tell us, of course, and tell them who sent you, of course, us here at CLNS Media. Just, you have a stat to prove her right or wrong?
I do. Do we want Major Leagues or AL? I guess for these purposes, AL, right?
AL.
They have the 6th best ERA. Their ERA is 4.25 of the team. Sox are obviously first with 3.65, so they're pretty much in the middle of the pack. So that's not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great.
Not bad though.
Yeah, but it's not great though.
Okay. Well, a lot of good stuff from Trenni. Appreciate it. Again, obviously you know where to catch her by now. CSN, EEI, right? She's everywhere. So definitely check her out. Early edition as well. She hangs out with Gary Tangway and Mike Felger every day, so that must be a treat for her. But, you know, a lot happened this week, and we're going to break it down here for you. We're not going to forget the recap because it was a pretty good week of baseball for this team. And look, despite all the stuff that we have going on, talking to Trenni, everything that's going on down the road, this week was a big week for the Red Sox and lived up to the test and, you know, went into New York. Obviously, you were going to take the Rays games, but you know, Jess, they went into New York and kind of faced their demons and were successful this week.
Yeah, I mean, because coming into the series, it was, well, the Red Sox have won 3 of 9 games against the Yankees this year, and that's not good at all. So, like you said, demons exercise. But first, the series against the Rays, and I mean, you guys called this on the show that I missed last week. You both said, got to win both these games against the Rays, pick up those 2 games against them, going to the Yankee series. Boy, you guys were right about that, and that's exactly what happened. And good thing, because, I mean, it was huge for the confidence of having a 4-1 week. So the first game was Tuesday after a Monday off day. 2-0 final in this game. This game was really, really weird because the Sox had 2 runs on 12 hits, and the Rays had 0 runs on 2 hits. You can guess who pitched with that line. Obviously, Chris Sale. He pitched 8 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 13 strikeouts. Unbelievable. On the other side, though, Austin Pruitt was pretty good, too. He gave up 7 hits, which is not 2, but only 1 run in 6 innings, and he had 5 strikeouts. But the Sox just couldn't score runs off him when they had base runners, because obviously they had plenty with 12 hits and 1 walk. But Devers got an RBI groundout, fielder's choice in the 4th, and Bradley Jr. got a big insurance RBI single in the 9th inning. And that's it, because... You know, I mean, Sale was enough, and then Kimbrel struck out the side in the 9th inning, so you just get 2 runs on 12 hits off of the Rays, and the combo of the 2 best pitchers in the league pitched 9 innings, 2 hits, and 16 strikeouts. Unbelievable. I mean, that's all you can ask for. These guys are unreal.
You know, they're so much fun to watch, especially with Kimbrel just being so on point this season, and obviously Sale, you just, you know, like Trenni said, every time he steps on the mound, you just pencil the win in right there. So in this game, it's funny because, you know, JBJ really needed something, and that insurance run was huge, and especially in the 9th and the late innings. You know, going up by 1 is so much different than going up by 2 because, you know, if you're up by 1 going into the bottom half of the 9th, the game's tied at 1 swing of the bat. So at least, you know, going up by 2, there's that little insurance right there. So it was definitely good to see, and obviously Chris Sale, you know, like every week I just feel like we always say something about him of just how dominant he is. So I'm just gonna leave that part out because we already know. We unspoken rule. We already know.
Look, and Lauren and I talked about it last week. This Rays team isn't good. Like, they're not. Like, they came and played kind of well and gave you a scare, but now they're not even close to being in the division. You kind of knocked them out of it, I think, even just with those 2 games. And, you know, Chris Sale against the Rays, you're gonna win that matchup 10 out of 10 times, in my opinion.
I mean, their record's all right. They're a little over 500, but yeah, I mean, if you have a good pitcher
because of that one little splurt they had, that's about it. They're not like over the. They haven't been consistent enough to really be considered.
Right. I mean, no one in their lineup scares you except Longoria and Morrison. They're both having great seasons, but the rest of the names just aren't really cutting it. And against someone like Sale, I mean, no chance, you know. And sure enough, and in this game on offense, Eduardo Núñez kept whacking the ball as he's been doing since he got here. He had 3 more hits in this game. Xander Bogaerts also had 3 hits in this game, which was encouraging because he has not been good, and he's been a little overshadowed by some younger guys here. Moves into Wednesday's game. This one had a little more offense than Tuesday's game. This was an 8-2 final, 8-2 win over the Rays again to sweep the 2-game series. And the offense was good in this game. The Sox got a run in the 3rd on an error by Odorizzi. But then the real magic happened in the 5th inning where the Sox scored 5 runs. Mookie Betts had an RBI single, and then Andrew Benintendi scored in a wild pitch, and then Betts scored in a wild pitch, and then Sandy Leon got the big hit, the 2 RBI single to make it 6-0. And I should mention later on in this game, Leon scored in a wild pitch, so the Sox had 3 of their 8 runs all on wild pitches and 2 of their runs on errors. So pretty sloppy game for the Rays. for the Rays offense, Adeiny Echeverria hit a home run, and then Brad Miller hit a home run off Rick Porcello. But, and we should mention this because he's had plenty of games where he's given up a lot of runs to talk about, Porcello was filthy besides those 2 home runs. He gave up those 2 runs in that inning. That was it in 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. He had an immaculate inning in the 5th where he struck out 3 guys on 9 pitches, which is something that obviously doesn't happen very much in the league. So, I mean, for me, with just taking advantage of poor play by the Rays and giving Porcello run support, which is something we have not seen.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, we haven't said that much this year, and they gave it to him, and he responded with a really good outing. Only threw 82 pitches. There was really no need to do anything more. He got a second straight win to go to 6-14, and this is what you're looking for from the guy. And he's prone to the long ball. He has been all season. He has been his whole career, so, I mean, that happens. But he pitched really well in this game, and that's the biggest takeaway in this game for me.
Yeah, and it seems like every time his Achilles heel really is just the long ball. But, you know, even last year when he won the Cy Young, he still had an issue giving up the long ball. That's kind of what his MO is. But this game, he took advantage of what we talked about, a bad lineup, and the fact that he got some run support helped the cause. And, you know, those 5 runs, poor play by the Rays. But overall, you can't be mad at the guy for facing a bad lineup. He did what he needed to do.
No, and it wouldn't be a Rick Porcello start if he didn't give up a home run. That's just, like you said, Jared, that's his MO. It's what he does. But it's nice to see the Red Sox score runs. I don't care if it was sloppy play by the Rays. We still put on 8 runs for Porcello, and it was just good game for the Red Sox, terrible game for the Rays. Terrible.
Yeah, so many wild pitches, so many errors, nasty. They blew it, and at home too. Kind of sucks for them to lose 2 home games, but it's great for the Sox.
They don't deserve to win at home. They have a crappy field.
Yeah, that's true. They shouldn't even play at home, much less win at home.
Play outside. Come on.
Right. And Andrew Benintendi had 3 hits in that game, and we'll get to him in the rest of this recap here. That moves us into Friday's game after another Thursday off day. It's so few games, it was pretty weird. And this one had it all, and not in a good way. The Sox started off really good in this game. Hanley Ramirez clocked a 2-run homer in the first inning off Jaime Garcia. It looked real good, and Erod pitched dominantly. He gave up 2 hits, no runs in 6 innings. He had 7 strikeouts. I think it's the best he's looked since he's come off the DL. And when he left the game, it was 3-0 because Andrew Benintendi hit his first of many home runs this weekend to make it 3-0. And it was all good going to the 8th. You know, this 3-0 score. Erod pitched really well. Matt Barnes pitched a clean 7th inning, and then into the 8th inning, as we talked about with Trenni, Addison Reed came into the game, his first big Red Sox-Yankees game, and he gave up 4 runs in no innings. He did not get a single out, and he gave up 4 runs. A few of those were inherited from Joe Kelly. Kelly came in and just stunk up the rest of the game. Quickly taking you through the inning, Brett Gardner had hit by a pitch on the foot that was reviewed, and it showed that he did get hit on the toe. So that started off the inning. Aaron Hicks had a 2-run homer, barely squeaked it out in right field. It was he barely even hit the ball. It was 335 feet. Pretty weak home run, but that made it 3-2. Gary Sanchez hit a single. He went to second on a wild pitch by Reed, and then Judge walked, and then that was it for Reed. So he came out. Kelly came in. Didi Gregorius hit an RBI single to tie the game off Kelly, Reed's run. And then Todd Frazier hit an RBI single off Kelly, Reed's run as well. That gave the Yankees a 4-3 lead. And then finally, the first out of the inning came when Chase Headley struck out all those batters later. And then Ellsbury got a single. Ronald Torreyes hit a sac fly for a huge insurance run to make it 5-3. And then that was it for the scoring. So the combination of Kelly and Reed were brutal, which is a real shame because in the 9th inning, my favorite guy, Aroldis Chapman, and if you were in our Red Sox chat, which obviously Lauren is, you know how much I hate this guy. I think he's garbage. He's a terrible human being, as we've also talked about in this show. And honestly, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this when I finish this game, I have never seen the guy pitch a good game. He is so wild. He's all over the place. I know he throws 103 miles per hour, but he just can't find the strike zone. And he's literally blown like every game I've watched him pitch in the last 2 years. And in this game, he walked Jackie Bradley Jr. to start it. Then he walked Eduardo Núñez. Then he walked Mookie Betts. And I think he threw, a total of 3 strikes in those 3 batters. It was like 12 balls and 3 strikes. Loaded the bases with nobody out. And then Andrew Benintendi hits a sac fly to left field to make it 5-4. And Eduardo Núñez, for some odd reason, decided to take third on a ball to left field to Aaron Hicks, who has a good arm. And then Hicks threw a good ball. It was a nice pick by Todd Frazier. He got the tag down. Núñez was out. And all of a sudden you go from a first and second situation with 1 out in a 1-run game to a man on second with 2 outs and down 1 and Mitch Moreland at the plate. He fly out to center. That was the ball game. If Núñez got to third, it would have been a tie game. If he just didn't go to third, they still would have had another out. So terrible decision there. So talk to me, guys, about this terrible blown game. And has Chapman ever pitched well? Am I crazy?
No, I don't think you are crazy. I think he pitched pretty well. You know, there's a reason why he has his reputation, right? Like, he pitched pretty well in Cincinnati, but no one ever saw it.
I guess he used to be good, right?
Yeah, but then, you know, everything happened, and, you know, I think he pitched okay for Chicago, but I think the biggest issue was he was overused in Chicago. I think Joe Madden just ran him into the ground, and I don't blame Joe Madden for doing that because he knew he wasn't coming back. And he wanted a World Series, and he got what he needed. And Aroldis Chapman didn't
Barely.
stink. Well, I mean, he still did it, you know. So, look, I agree with you. I don't think he's pitched well in a while, and the Yankees need to do something about that if they want to be successful. They're going to have to pull him out of that closer role, so see how that ends up going in the Yankees bullpen. But, look, this game shouldn't have even come down to that because Addison Reed is supposed to be this guy, and you don't know much about him, right, as a Red Sox fan. You don't watch so many Mets games, but you know, he's supposed to be that shutdown guy. Can't even get an out in the inning, and then Joe Kelly didn't help that cause at all. And then you go into the 9th, and Núñez comes in up here, makes a stupid error, and then says, you know, that's how we came in first place, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, you haven't been on the team long enough, so that's not obviously you saying that. But this team's philosophy is aggressive base running. The 9th inning was a cause for concern because, you know, what if that was the playoffs? What if that was Game 7 and you said, oh, well, we're an aggressive team, we're going to run? Then you're screwed and you're out of the playoffs. So that's what worries me. Obviously, I don't mind them being aggressive, but they have like 15 more outs on the base paths than anybody else in the league just because they're an aggressive team.
And you don't go to third and a ball to left field. Stupid.
No, that's common. That's not aggressive. That's stupid base running. Like,
that's baseball 101 right there.
Learned that Little League, and the field's like a half of a foot. Like,
right. You don't run to the base that's in front of where you catch the ball, especially when it's third.
Never.
Yeah,
Never.
Seriously.
So
maybe
dumb.
if Johnny Damon is throwing the baseball, but that's about it. Like,
so Lauren, how much does Chapman suck? Feed me.
God, you suck so much. I love it. It's so great because I was at the Yankees Red Sox series in July when they were here, and same thing. The Yankees came in, brought Chapman in, and they blew the game, and it was amazing because I can't remember if we won in the 9th or if it was the 10th or 11th inning, but it was because Chapman blew the game, and it was great because it made it all the more better. I was with a Yankees fan, and it's like Chapman's supposed to be this great pitcher, and despite him being a crappy human being, he still throws 103 miles an hour. So you think when he goes in there, he's going to throw the heat, he's going to just come in there and just be dominant, and that's obviously not the case. And I wonder if it's a mix of like coming from the AL to the NL to the AL, and then maybe he's content. He got his World Series ring, and he's just kind of like, okay, whatever. But there's also, he throws 103 miles an hour almost all the time. He's got to be tired. His arm's got to be sore. And, you know, it's got to be hard to control your pitches after a while. Or maybe the Red Sox are just in his head. Who knows? But it's so good to see him struggle. I don't like the guy. But it's good to see him struggle, especially against the Red Sox, because he's this multi-millionaire closer, and he sucks, and I love it.
But it's not even just against the Red Sox either. It's been almost all year.
Yeah,
Good.
I think he's loses his confidence real quick. I think he gets rattled really easily. His body language kind of sucks in the mound. They were talking about that in the broadcast. Like, he was like slumping around. He wasn't looking at Larry Rothschild in the eye. He's just like so down on himself, and he's wild as hell. He throws 103 and he's all over the place. I wouldn't trust the guy as my closer. I wouldn't want him to be my closer if I were them. I mean, Betances is wild too, but I'd probably take him over Chapman. I'd probably just make Robertson the closer again because I wouldn't trust Chapman. So I'm glad it's not my problem. So let's move to Saturday. Side note, that brutal loss on Friday snapped an 8-game winning streak, which was obviously great. And I mean, your bullpen's bound to blow a game at some point. It's too bad it was Reed, because you want him to come here and pitch well, because that's why you brought him here. But 8-game winning streak and a 3-0 lead in the 8th. It's you're bound to lose a game at some point. So that's when it happened. Brings us into Saturday, and quite a bounce back day here for the Red Sox after losing that game on Friday night. This one was a 10-5 win, 2 5-run innings, the 3rd and the 5th inning in this game. It was awesome. And opposite of Friday night, where the Sox got the 2-run homer in the first and lost, the Yankees got the 2-run homer, Gary Sanchez, in this game, and then lost. Sanchez had a 2-run homer to right field off Pomeranz in the first inning. Lamest home run I've ever seen. It was literally like a foul ball. He thought it was a foul ball. He didn't realize it was a home run, and he's like, "Oh, it's gone. Oh, whoops. Okay, cool." And then
just around the bases.
yeah, it was a pathetic home run, and that put them up 2-0. But just like Friday, Sox came right back in the third off of Luis Severino, who was like supposed to be their best pitcher, and his ERA was in the 2s. He was 9-4, and he loaded the bases. Mookie Betts hit a 2 RBI single to make it 2-2, and then the next batter, Andrew Benintendi, hit a 3-run homer that just cleared the wall in right field to make it 5-2. Then the Yankees got one more run back in the fourth on an Ellsbury RBI ground out off Pomeranz, but then he shut them down the rest of the way, and then the offense was back at it in the fifth. Benintendi again hit another 3-run homer. This one way gone. This wasn't even close.
Crushed, absolutely crushed.
If his first home run was barely gone as it was, the second one, oh my god, it was probably like 20 rows in. It was awesome. And it was a huge blow to the Yankees because that was 8-3. You know, it's 5-3. They think they have a chance, and then boom, crushing your hopes and dreams. 8-3, 2 homers, 6 RBI. Oh my God, it's Severino. Oh, what a terrible line. Oh my God, he came out after that, and then Giovanni Gallegos came in, and he gave up a 2 RBI double to guess who, Rafael Devers, to make it 10-3. All those runs were Severino. He went 4 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 10 runs, 8 earned runs. He raised his ERA like .60, like it's 3.32 now. It's so, it's awful. So that was just, I mean, that was so satisfying for me. I'm like, this guy is like their stud.
Yeah, he's their best pitcher all year. He's been their best pitcher all year.
Yeah, and we just rocked him left and right for his entire outing. It was awesome. Plus, it was great because he retired the first 7 batters in order. It was like he was gonna have a great game, and then boom. See ya. The Yankees got 2 runs in the 9th inning off Robbie Scott. Back-to-back homers for Chase Headley, Jacoby Ellsbury. 10-5 final. Pomeranz again. 6 2/3, 7 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. You can talk about Benintendi and Devers all you want, and we will, and we do. But Pomeranz is 12-4 with a 3.39 ERA. He's literally a top 10 pitcher in the league, maybe more.
And that's all you need. You didn't even need that much from him. Like, I didn't expect this, and ERA's fine. The record's there because he seems to be getting run support, unlike Rick Porcello. But look, it's one of those things where, you know, they really won this game 10-3 in my eyes. The couple runs were in the 9th inning when it didn't really matter, but Drew Pomeranz has been phenomenal. And look, I've been one to question him. I'm still not 100% sure I want to see him do it in the playoffs now. That's his next step. But everything that we've seen points to, okay, he's more reliable than David Price. He's more reliable than some of the other, like Rick Porcello right now. I'd rather Drew Pomeranz than Rick Porcello. It's crazy how well he's established himself, and this is clearly what Dombrowski saw when he traded away for him, when he traded Devers for him. Not Devers, excuse me.
Espinoza,
thank you. I got Devers on my mind. But
I don't blame you.
Yeah, seriously. But look, Dombrowski clearly saw something in him that we all didn't, and there's a reason why he was an all-star last year, and maybe it was just the injury that he was going through.
I mean, I picked him to be my player to watch for. I feel pretty smart.
Yeah.
Yes, I just said smart.
So smart. He's definitely underrated this year for sure, and I think he's also overshadowed because we have Chris Sale and Porcello's having a really crap year, and then we have Kimbrel who's just shutting it down, and then, you know, Benintendi and Devers and even Núñez coming in here and just kind of overshadowing what Pomeranz has done, and that's not to take away anything that he has done. It's just there's more to talk about than, you know, our pitcher being 12-4, and it's, you know, really somebody who I would not expect. He's got 12 wins. I think that's the most in his career.
It is.
He's having a career year, and that's amazing that he's doing it here. So obviously he's comfortable here. He trusts the catcher. He trusts his teammates, and he's just kind of really found his groove. And like I said, this is exactly what Dombrowski saw in him. So he's really surprised me this year. I've had a lot of fun watching him, and it's not that bad feeling when he goes on the mound, and I'm like, oh no, not Pomeranz. Like, I think I've seen him 4 or 5 times this season pitch at Fenway, and every time I'm like, woo, Pomeranz. It's not like, ugh, Pomeranz.
Yeah, he's been great. I mean, Sale's 14-4, Pomeranz is 12-4. I mean, what do you want from the guy?
Wow.
It's
right there.
It's great. He's been so consistent. I mean, that was the funny thing. I like cringed when Trenni said that, like, your playoff rotation, Chris Sale, David Price. I was like, David Price? Give me Drew Pomeranz 10 out of 10 times. I was like, I don't want David Price anywhere near the mound. Like, give me the hot guy. That's Pomeranz. He's been fantastic.
I cringed when she was like, oh, our starters haven't won a game in the playoffs. Like, ugh.
Well, yeah.
In fairness, Chris Sale hasn't gotten an opportunity because he played for the White Sox.
And Pomeranz hasn't either. So
yes, that is true.
Two
so
of those
in
guys
fairness, little asterisk.
And Porcello just started pitching in the postseason last year. So really, it's just David Price. But Yeah, Pomeranz has been super consistent. I mean, he's coming into his peak here. I mean, he got his career high in wins last year with 11 with the combination of San Diego and here, and obviously he didn't pitch well when he got here because obviously he was hurt. Now he comes here, he gets a career high in wins with 12, and it's only the middle of August. He could get like 15, 16, 17 wins, maybe even 18. And I mean, he's been so consistent. I mean,
he's peacocking.
You gotta throw him out in the playoffs. It's like, shoot. I mean, this is one of your best pitchers. You got to pitch him. So, got to have confidence in the guy. He's proven it. So Benintendi, 6 RBI, 2 home runs, awesome. It's fantastic. Benintendi and Devers are like the best players in the league. So that brings us to Sunday, which we'll continue talking about the best players in the league. This one was huge, and we discussed it a lot with Trenni. Chris Sale pitched against Jordan Montgomery. Montgomery was really good in his 5 1/3 innings. He only gave up 2 hits and 1 run. Sale was better. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts. He's up to 241. The guy's unbelievable. We can talk about it all day long, and we do, and we will. And this brought us into the late innings here with not much scoring because nobody could score. It was 1-1 in the 8th inning, and Todd Frazier had a sac fly off of Matt Barnes, as we talked about. Sale went 7. Barnes came in and really couldn't throw any strikes. He was all over the place, left him in too long, gave up the lead. And then, fortunately for the Sox, Chapman came in, our favorite guy. Good old Aroldis Chapman. And Rafael Devers cranked a solo home run, tied the game in the bottom of the 8th. And then, top of the 9th, excuse me. And then Andrew Benintendi won it in the 10th with an RBI single. So, just like we've been saying, Devers ties it, Benintendi wins it. Unbelievable week for both of them. And a huge 3-2 win. Kimbrel closed it out in the 9th inning, in the 10th inning. To give a nice 4-1 week here and 2 more wins after the 8 game to give the Sox 10 out of 11 wins in a row. So I mean, this game had it all. It was close, tightly contested game. Sunday Night Baseball, 9 hits total. Chris Sale, and I mean, these are the games you want to win on the road, especially. Jared didn't have the confidence. He said losing 2 out of 3, and could have happened, but not because of Rafael Devers.
Very easily could have happened. Easily could have happened. Look, we talked about Devers with Trenni. That home run was phenomenal. But look at I want to talk about Benintendi for a second because a couple weeks ago, a month ago, this kid was not playing. This kid was struggling at the plate. Everyone was talking about what's going on with him, like blah blah blah. He clearly showed us why he's up here and why they've been banking on him because he had the poise to get down there. Him and Chili Davis fixed something, got his confidence back.
His confidence is through the roof.
Yeah, and now he's raking. He's winning games in the extra innings at Yankee Stadium. Like, he's hitting ding-dongs left and right. Like, look, this guy clearly wasn't hitting right. And look, even Devers had a little bit of a lull there as well for like a couple games. But he wasn't hitting great for a couple games, and he clearly quickly figured it out, has the poise. Amen to their scouting team and all their drafting because they saw something in all these young kids, and they're producing now. And look, we all thought Xander Bogaerts was going to be the phenom, and he's not even close to it now. So, which I hate. But, look. These kids are easy to rely on, and these kids are going to be super important. If you're going to do anything this postseason, it's going to be Benintendi, Devers, and these are younger kids because that's who's winning you these games right now.
It's great. They're so much fun to watch, especially Devers, and I know, especially me, I had a lot of concerns calling him up so soon, but he's obviously proving that he's got the confidence and he can do it, just like Benintendi did. I mean, I had concerns when they called Benintendi up so fast, and obviously, I mean, look at the kid now. He's great. And I think a lot of it's coming from, Jeff, I know we talked about it in the chat sometimes, it's him not playing every day. He needs that rest right now because he's going to get worn out, and he's going to get, if we rely on him so much, it's like, okay, let's not put too much pressure on this kid. He's only 23, and it's just, but he's so much fun to watch. And now when he comes to the plate, it's like he has these big moments, and he's really just making a name for himself here. And I don't know if you guys follow Brock Holt on Instagram, but every night when they get on the plane, he does the Instagram story of Benintendi sleeping, and his kid is just absolutely knocked out. He's getting plenty of sleep. He's obviously doing something right in his diet. His workouts are insane. So he's doing everything right. And obviously, like I said, he's getting enough sleep. Thanks to Brock Holt. I wouldn't know that. But it's just, like I said, this kid's been so much fun to watch. And there's a reason he's just so good. And there's a reason they brought him up so soon. And same with Devers. That home run didn't even look like it was out of the park. I think he had the ESPN broadcast fooled. And it it barely made it out of the park, just like right into the bullpen there. So, but I mean, I just loved his Devers' reaction. So you can tell how pumped up he was and how excited he was for it, because that home run's huge. That's what people are going to be talking about for years to come. Like, this kid's first few games in the major leagues, he's hitting home runs against Aroldis Chapman.
And these guys are both Yankee killers. They're killing the Yankees. What's better than that? There's nothing better than that.
Little great. Yankee killers coming at you.
Yeah, man, young Yankee killers. I love it. And then let's briefly go over the Indians game tonight, because we're not even going to predict it, because it was part of a series from 2 weeks ago that we already predicted, and the game is already over, so there's really no point in predicting it. Sox lost tonight 7-3 in the makeup game to Cleveland. Doug Fister pitched against Trevor Bauer. Rafael Devers hit 2 more home runs tonight, which is insane, but unfortunately that's about all the Sox got. Besides another Andy Benintendi home run. So the same guys.
Yeah, they came to play.
The same guys did it. Yeah, they've been doing it for a while here. Nobody else did, and Fister gave up a couple home runs to Edwin Encarnacion, and Lindor got a 2 RBI hit, and it's just too much offense for the Indians. So tough loss there, but as we talked about, the Sox had won 10 of 11, so hard to complain too much about losing the occasional game. Still 67-51. And for MVPs, I mean, if you throw in tonight's game as well, it's real close with Devers, obviously, but you got to give it to Benintendi for this week, because he was out of his mind. He hit 4 home runs, he had 10 RBI, and he had 4 multiple hit games in this short week. He had 2, 3, 2, 2 in the 2 games against the Rays and the first 2 against the Yankees. So, I mean, that's insane. 4 home runs, 10 RBI.
And wasn't his 2-3 home run game, wasn't that like the youngest Red Sox player to ever do that, like under the age of 23 or at the age of 23? There was some crazy stat connected to that.
Yeah, something like that. You got it somewhere.
It was something like some crazy stat that I saw quickly. I think I retweeted it, and I was like, that's insane. Of course, that was a couple days ago, so now it's out of my mind, but
right,
it's something good.
And then Devers also making history with like multi home run games as well at his young age. I mean, you got to give like MVP 2 to him, because with tonight counted, he hit 3 home runs, 5 RBI. Obviously, the tying home run against the Yankees. So, and I mean, he's hit 6 home runs, and he's only played however many games he's played. He's at 62 at bats, and he has 6 home runs, which is insane. He just got called up July 24th, so pretty wild for both of them.
For a month.
They're carrying the team along with Núñez, who just gets like 3 hits every game. So love it from the young guys. Great week, and can't wait to see more.
Yeah, seriously. Recap from Jess. Obviously, a good week. These kids are going to be phenomenal. Look, they're a key reason why you're winning. They're a key reason why they've been playing so well. And case in point, they lose 7-3, and the only 3 runs are from 3 home runs from those guys. So I think you're going to see that moving forward. But one thing that, before we do the predictions and get out of here, that really intrigues me is the Red Sox-Yankees series as a whole, because there was some angst in this series, and people were looking forward to watching it. And because I don't know if it's 100% back, but you got to think these young kids between both rosters are making this Red Sox-Yankees thing fun to watch again.
Oh, it's so much fun, and I don't think it has the angst it did in 03, 04, that era, but I mean it's fun. There's Aaron Judge to look out for, Gary Sanchez, and even they have big names like Chapman on there and Todd Frazier. They have just name after name that you can just have fun watching. Even if you're not a Yankees or Red Sox fan, we both have players who are absolutely fun to watch, and they're going to be fun to watch for years to come. And what makes this rivalry kind of not so much like 100% back, but they're in first and second place, and it's going to be a battle until the end, unless somehow the Red Sox can absolutely run away with first place in the last month and a half. So it's been so much fun, and these games make it more fun when both teams are in the race, because if the Yankees were in last place, it wouldn't really matter. It wouldn't have that same feel, like going to Fenway and watching the Red Sox Yankees. There's so much more like animosity towards the fans, and there's just so much more fun the Red Sox fans are having. And even just watching the games, I feel like, in our chat here with Jess, I just feel like there's so much fun going on just between art between all of us, just talking and just having fun with it. So it's definitely fun, and it's good that it's back, because it's good for baseball, because it was ESPN had the highest rating of a non-playoff baseball game in years.
Yeah, that's right. That tells you something. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's 2003, 2004, because that had a lot of history, a lot of years, and a lot of Yankee hate here in Boston with what had happened over the last, billion of years. But I mean, yeah, this is great. You got young players battling out. As long as both teams are in first and second place, that's what really does it. Because that's when people get excited. They start counting the standings. They start doing how many games back, who's in the wild card, blah blah blah. That's when it's good. And the two teams haven't been good in the same season in so long, because the Red Sox have had several last place seasons. The Yankees have been pretty average for a couple of years, and then they both won championships as well in the last 7-8 years. But I think it's great to have the young players and to have the first and second place, and I don't think it's going to be close in September. I think the Sox are going to run away with it to a certain degree, maybe 6 or 7 games, kind of around where we're at. So, but I mean,
you should be more concerned with Houston than the Yankees, I think, come September.
Yeah, you should. I agree. But it's fun to have the Yankees be in second, and it's fun to have young players. And I mean, that was a great series. It was a really fun series to watch.
Yeah, and I agree with you guys. I think up and down the last couple of years, one team has been bad, the other team's been good. So I think now they're finally both kind of young and good. I think it's going to be something sustainable to watch, and the rest of the division isn't good consistently. I don't know what happened with Toronto this year, but that being said, it's back, I think, in a small way. I don't think it's 100% back. It never will be what it was, but it's kind of there in its own new way, which is great. Hopefully get more people watching the game, for sure. One other thing, before we get to predictions, a lot happened this week, but I want, because we mentioned it with Trenni, Pablo Sandoval did come out with the Players Tribune, right? That article he wrote.
Yep.
And he just wrote about how it wasn't the city or the teammates or anything like that. He just didn't feel like at home, whatever it was. Just your guys' thoughts on it, because I think it's a load of crap. I think it's just him catering to what people want to hear. He's saying how, he loves the Giants, blah, blah, blah. Just initial reactions when you guys were reading through this, because I was laughing through half of it when I read it.
I rolled my eyes a lot, but I understand that he loves San Francisco. I absolutely 100% believe that, because that's where he came from. It's where he's been. They gave him 3 championships, and he was comfortable there. I totally understand that, but don't come out and say, like, oh, Boston didn't feel like home, but it wasn't because of anything, like any of those factors. Like, then what was it? Like, you admitted you got complacent here, you got your money, and you failed us. That's all it comes down to. And I do think it was, fans. I do think it was media. I don't really think it's so much like the city, but it takes a tough person to play here, and he obviously wasn't tough enough. And I just think, it was a load of BS. I think he just said that what he wanted everyone to hear, and kind of made him look good. But I mean, I don't see it being 100% truthful, other than he likes San Francisco and he's happy to be back. Because I 100% believe that, and he's obviously doing not so bad there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it, because first of all, before I read it, I already saw a bunch of people crapping on him before I even opened up the article. So I kind of had that in my mind already. Like, oh, okay, people think he's full of crap, so let me go into it thinking that. I would have rather gone into it with a clean slate, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I kind of got swayed that way. I kind of agree with Trenni in terms of the sympathy, because obviously it is hard to play here, and like she said, he didn't go off on tirades like David Price and Carl Crawford, who still complains about Boston to this day. So I don't think it's
he hasn't gotten over it.
No, he's so sensitive. My God. See you, Crawford. But so in terms of that, I feel a little bad for him. But I also, part of this, reading it, I just feel like he's trying too hard. I think he did a terrible thing with saying what he said, leaving San Francisco, because he, closed all the doors that he clearly wanted to be open. It's I don't think he thinks what he says very much, because he just seems to say whatever he wants, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I didn't mean that. This didn't work out too well. Can I come back, guys? I hate Boston. I don't know. Think about what you're doing, dude. If you want to go back there, if you love San Francisco so much, then don't crap on everybody except one player when you leave. Why would you do that?
Seriously.
You can't. You got to think about what you're doing in the future, and it was only 3 years ago. So I think that was stupid. It's discouraging to me to see him say that he never felt comfortable here ever. I mean, yeah, no crap. We saw that he never felt comfortable here, but just to see that in writing and for him to say that his heart was always in San Francisco, it's like, you chose to come here, so why did you come here and suck so much if you didn't even want to be here? Like, you should have just stayed in San Francisco. It's just like, I mean, great. I'm glad he admitted it and stuff, but it's like, it's just, I don't know, it's discouraging. What a waste. What a waste of time.
That's what John Farrell said. John Farrell said he made the choice to come here. Like,
yeah,
it was his
right.
choice. He didn't have to. He signed here. We didn't trade for him. He signed. So that's part of a lot of the reason why I don't feel bad. Like, you made the decision to play here. You knew that you were going to sign this contract 5 years. There's your commitment right there, 5 years. So, I mean, it sucks to see. It sucks to see in writing, but at the same time, it was his choice.
And it's not like there haven't been horror stories about this city and players not working here before. And he knew how soft he was. He knew how much of a baby he is. Like, he knew all this coming in. He knows his personality. So there's no. I agree. I kind of understand why Trenni said what she said about feeling bad, pity the whole thing. But at the same time, I don't feel bad for him because, like you said, Lauren, he signed here. He knew what he was getting himself into. 5 years in Boston's a huge commitment. When you see horror stories like Crawford and all these other guys who don't work here, David Price in the midst of it, like, it's just the way it works out. If you're soft, don't even think about coming here because it's not going to work.
And you knew he was going to get complacent too. He just won his third World Series. Like, that's plenty of World Series. I'm sure he's thinking, like, there's a lot of World Series.
Handed a huge paycheck.
Yeah, he's like, oh, here's some money. You've already won 3 World Series. What do you think's going to happen? I mean, come on. It was so predictable. So predictable.
So stupid.
It's market sign right there. Pure market sign.
Is awful. But okay, so show's about to be over here. So let's get to the predictions. A lot happened this week, but a lot coming up this week too. You got 2 against St. Louis, who have been playing really well. They're right on the Cubs' heels, and they've been playing phenomenal as of late. And then you have to go back and play the Yankees again, this time at home. Again, another weekend series. So, Jess, let's start with you because you didn't get to do any of this last week. So let's start with you and have some prediction fun. Those 2 games against St. Louis, what's going to happen?
Yeah, St. Louis is playing really well. They just jumped the Brewers in the Central. They're up to 2nd place, and they're right in the Cubs' heels. So they're playing pretty well. And I don't like 2-game series in terms of sweeping them. I know that we just swept the Rays. That did happen. But I think most 2-game series, most of the time, they're 1-1 splits. And I just don't see this one being different. I think St. Louis is playing well, so I have the Sox going 1-1 in those 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to sweep the Cardinals. I know the Cardinals have been playing well, but so have the Red Sox. And I don't like 2-game series either. I absolutely hate them. But we just swept the Rays. And I just feel like the Red Sox, they're just playing so well right now. There's something working well with this lineup. And I think they have the advantage with the National League coming into Fenway. And I really just don't see them losing one to the Cards. I just don't. Regardless of how well they've been playing, I think the Red Sox have been playing better.
Yeah, and I think, you have Porcello and Rodríguez going in this series, and I think Porcello's been pitching better as of late. We just saw it this week. He's starting to get run support again. So, I think you're going to win both games as well. I agree with Lauren. I think, those 2-game series, the way you're playing right now, I think it's just simple enough to take my gut feeling because I usually am right when the gut happens, but I usually ignore my gut. But I'm going to pick sweep just because, like you said, you have the advantage. You don't have to worry about the pitcher. Yeah, they can get an extra hitter, but at the same time, you have a team who's used to playing in this ballpark, who's been playing really well, and coming off of a series like you did the Yankees, even though you lost tonight, still have that momentum because you've been playing really well. So I think you sweep the St. Louis Cardinals at home, and then you have the Yankees come in again because you see them every single day almost for the next month, and you have 3 games against the Yankees. I have them losing 2 out of 3. I said this last week, and it was wrong. Hopefully it's wrong again, but I have them losing 2 out of 3 against the Yanks this time around at Fenway Park. I just think that the Yankees aren't a bad team, guys. Yeah, their bullpen's. Not really their bullpen, but Chapman's in shambles. But at the same time, I think they have a good enough roster to come in here. And despite winning 2 out of 3, they still have had your number most of this year. So I'm riding the odds on this one and having them lose 2 out of 3 for a 3-2 week.
Yeah, I have a 3-2 week as well, which means I have them winning 2 out of 3 against the Yankees. I don't know. The way I see it is that, with the lead that the Sox have, I think they're just 2 out of 3 better than the Yankees. I just feel like they're a 2-1 team against the Yankees. I feel like a sweep's a little bit too much in terms because the Yankees are obviously a good team, like you said, Jared. But I think you won 2 out of 3 on the road. I think you're going to win 2 out of 3 at home as well. And if you split with St. Louis, like I said, then I definitely think you're winning 2 out of 3 against the Yankees. Push them further down. Just keep pushing. Just knock them out. Keep knocking them into the quicksand. That's what it's all about.
Yep, that's absolutely what it is all about. I have them going 4-1 this week, so they are winning 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, just like they did over this past weekend. Chris Sale's on the mound, one of those games, so they got to win that one.
Oh yeah.
And I don't see them. I don't see the Yankees coming into Fenway and taking more than one of these games. I know the Yankees are a good team, but I just think the Red Sox are better. Like I said against with the Cardinals, even though they're playing well, the Red Sox are playing better. The Yankees are a good team, the Red Sox are better. And there's just something that's, like I said, there's something clicking. There's something going completely right for the Red Sox right now. And they're just going to ride this into the series. They know that these series, especially against AL East teams, especially against the Yankees, are absolutely huge. And we're going into September now. We're getting closer and closer to September. So they know that these games are more and more important, especially there's a huge difference over the weekend between 5.5 and 3.5. So now they just need to build that lead, especially with the Yankees coming in. They need to build it, and they need to maintain it. And then when the Yankees come in here, they need to start running away with it. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Yeah,
they see the Yankees enough the next month that they have that opportunity, right, to bring them down. And like Jess said, put them in the quicksand and keep them in the quicksand. And look, I want to be wrong. Don't get me wrong. I definitely want to see them at least win 2 out of 3. Hopefully sweep them. That'd be ideal. But
you'll be wrong.
I usually am wrong, so it's fine. But look, that being said, a lot going on. They're the predictions. Jess has them going 3-2 in a different way than I have them going 3-2. Lauren, uber positive 4-1.
Well, plus add a loss to all those since they lost tonight.
Add a loss to all those, yeah. Add a loss to all those if you count tonight's game, which is very unfortunate. But that being said, a lot to look forward to as Red Sox fans, right? You got Devers, you got Benintendi, smoking the crap out of the ball. Núñez still playing well. Team's coming back. You got Carson Smith to potentially look forward to. But Trenni did say, "We'll believe it when we see it." Yeah. I agree with her. Yeah, I'll see him on the mound, and then I'll believe that he's coming back. But could be a nice addition, if he comes back. Yeah, into this bullpen that can have struggles. It's nice to have another guy to push Matt Barnes and all these guys even further back into the game, because it's far away. Let's keep Matt Barnes as far away from the 8th inning as possible on the road. That would be fantastic. I don't know what it is, but he cannot pitch away from Fenway Park.
But at home, pitch him every day.
Yeah. Start at home.
His ERA is like 125 at home, so pitch him all you want.
We'll leave it at that. Hopefully Matt Barnes plays well this week because he's at home. So big shout again to Trenni Kusnierek, Comcast Sportsnet, WEI, early edition, of course. Check out her show with Felger and Gary Tangway. I don't know how she does it, but she does it every day. So check it out. Obviously, we love having her on the show. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at @RedSox_beat, Facebook, Red Sox Beat Podcast, CLNS Media, same difference at CLNS Media, Facebook, same thing. Don't forget the iOS or Android app for CLNS Media as well to get all the network shows besides ours, even though we're on there. So don't forget to listen to us there.
And YouTube. YouTube video.
You see us now. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for CLNS Media. Don't forget to subscribe to the iTunes channel for our show as well, so you can get us downloaded directly every time we hit the submit button on one of these shows every Monday night. So for Jess Thomas and Lauren Campbell, one final shout out to Trenni for joining us. We'll be back next week talking Red Sox baseball, hopefully an undefeated week. Talk then.